Hi, welcome back to this week's edition of the Samuel Webb podcast. My name is Samuel Webb, and today we are going to be doing. It's going to be a mixture of projects. It's going to be a mixture between the critical costume review and the creative project. So basically, I'm just doing a podcast, but I kind of wanted to follow the structure of the critical costume review because I thought that it was very interesting and I think it'll prove well for this project. So I guess with that out of the way, let's get started. So I decided to pick the movie Avengers from 2012. Um, Me and my fiance recently watched this movie, and not only is it a great movie for nostalgic purposes, but also because um, there's a lot of interesting details that get called back on later in the series or in later movies that the Marvel Cinematic Universe puts out. And overall, it's just a really good experience. There's something in it for everybody. With that being said, though, I would like to be a little bit critical of each costume. I'd like to talk about each one in depth and kind of just give a just a general synopsis on what I think about them. So let's get into it. So first, we're gonna start with Iron Man. This is Tony Stark. Um, Tony, he's very egotistical. He's a borderline narcissist, and you can kind of tell in his suits. So, for example, this picture here, you can tell he's very bulky. He's very, it's about the face. His lines, like on the face itself, is contoured, and his middle light piece right here. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse or not, but it also is very protruding and in your face. Bright colors for his suit, and it just kind of plays to his character, and I find that very interesting. I would say I like how his suit is masculine. It plays to his character. It looks very strong, which he is mentally, whether or not he is physically. But yeah, so that's Iron Man. And then second, we have Hulk from Avengers. Oh, all caps. So Hulk in this movie, in case you don't know who Hulk is, he is a scientist, and when he gets mad, he becomes this big brute. And this movie does that very well. He gains incredible muscle mass. He becomes very strong. Um, and he gets very angry, like I said. So, with that being said, it kind of plays into his character in the way that you kind of think it would. He looks very big, he looks very menacing. As you can see, he's the one on the left in this movie here. He has ripped, tattered jeans just from his crazy growth that occurs when he becomes the Hulk. And he's very loud, very rambunctious, and very mad. So it kind of plays into the character very well. I think this isn't necessarily a problem with the movie because they're just going off of, the comics. But I find it interesting that he is green because you would think that, green isn't necessarily an angry color as to where you could pick something a little bit like warmer, like red or orange or something like that. But he's green. And fun fact, it's actually because they Marvel, when they first started, they misprinted, um, and the ink wouldn't stay on the page very well. So that's why he's actually ended up being green. So it doesn't really make sense for the movie. Makes sense historically speaking, but for the movie, I don't think that that makes a whole lot of sense. But I understand why they did it. And it makes sense in that way. So, with that being said, we have Thor from Avengers. So, Thor in Avengers, he is supposed to be uh, Thor, Odin's son in Norse mythology. He's the god of thunder. He has his hammer Mjolnir, and he's supposed to be very strong. He's supposed to be very strong, very worthy. I think that they do a great job with that in this movie because in this movie. He has this very long, flowing hair. It's very luscious. He has the red, majestic cape, and he's flagrant, but not necessarily in an egotistical way, but more of a sense of grandeur. And I think that they did that really well in this movie. Um, I like how his character is played in terms of what his role is within the movie. He's supposed to be a sort of how would I describe that? He's from outer space, so maybe sort of a he's a protector in a way, but he's foreign to what we know. So he does a really good job with that. He also misses social cues, which can be funny. Um, but the character and the costume specifically, I think they did a perfect job. It's perfect casting. I don't think they could do it any better. I also like the plating that they have on his armor. As you can see there, it has very fine plates, and that allows for easy mobility, easy agility, which makes sense for the character. So overall, they did really good on that. Um, I find it. I think that the reason why it's a perfect casting is because, when you think of Norse mythology, you think of Vikings, you think of, the long blonde hair and the big scruffy beards. And while the Thor doesn't have a scruffy beard, he definitely gets a check mark on the long hair. It's very luscious. It's just, I mean, it's a great set of hair. So, I think that in terms of that aspect of identity, he did a great job. It was a great casting. And he played the part really well. And then next, we have Captain America from the Avengers. So, Captain America in this movie, I think that Chris Evans, who is the character, um, was a great casting. We get a little bit of spoilers here as we scroll through to find the right picture that we want. And I think we'll go with this one here. Um, so, Captain America, he has this nice red, white, and blue suit that you would expect him to have. If he is the captain of the United States, he should look like the United States, and he does that. And I think that in terms of just character's identity, I find it interesting that he has a shield because shields are normally known as defenders. But if you look at what the United States has done and continues to do in our current state, they claim to be defenders, but they go off into other countries and other lands and they do what they deem is correct. Um, and It's just interesting that they chose for Captain America to have a shield. I think that the costume in this movie, unfortunately, it falls a little bit flat. I think that in the first Captain America movie, if we want to go to that for an example, he wears this bright blue shirt. Um, he's very vibrant. His colors protrude, they stand out, they stick out to you. And in this movie, they just don't. And I think it's unfortunate because I think they missed the mark a little bit there. I think it could have looked a lot better if they would have kind of just honestly kept it how it was. I thought that the original suit was great. It really plays to the character. And I guess in terms of casting, I think that Chris Evans was a great choice. Um, he kind of fits the role of, what you would expect. Um, the stereotypical American soldier, I suppose. So I think that was a good casting. Um, he also has the sideburns, which, I guess that makes sense too. Um, I think that it would have been cool to see Captain America if he was played as maybe a female, just have a little bit more representation in that department. Um, but they chose Chris Evans, and I can't knock it. I think it's pretty good. So yeah, next we have Hawkeye. So Hawkeye in the Avengers, Hawkeye, he shoots bow and arrow. He is he's a trained assassin, so he's been trained to kill. Um, his character's name is Clint Barton, and I think that Hawkeye, um, I think that he is an okay character. I don't necessarily find it to be the actor's fault, but I just think that the costume design, it could be a lot better. There's a lot of buckles and a lot of belts and just a lot of different unnecessary additions to his costume. It looks like he's overprotected at times. You know, he's supposed to move silently. He's supposed to um, be quick, and I don't know. There's just a lot going on there that I don't really necessarily agree with. I think the fact that his quiver it rotates in the movie. That way he can just reach back and grab one quick. I think that that's a really cool concept. I really liked that idea. However, I think that overall, I think they just missed the mark a little bit here, pun intended. Um, and I think that they definitely could have done better. And I guess as an example, in the TV series Hawkeye, Hawkeye gets replaced by Haley Steinfeld, and I think that she's a great casting for Hawkeye. She plays the part really well, um, and her costume in that is really good as well too. But unfortunately, no knock to Jeremy Renner, but I just think that this part could have been done better in terms of directing. I think that the costume design is a little bit flawed, and I think that they could have done better in that department as well. So, finally, the person that I wanted to talk about the most is Black Widow. So Black Widow in this movie is very interesting. She is a very cool character, um, but unfortunately, they sexualized Scarlett Johansson a lot in this movie. You know, just scrolling through these pictures alone, you can tell that there was a lot of they're trying to, I guess, gain the attention of people when it comes to sexualizing her, and I think that that's unfortunate. Um, and I think that they definitely could have made the character have more depth without diminishing that aspect. I think that there was definitely some other things or different costume designs that they could have had for sure to where it wasn't so um, prominent because unfortunately it almost feels like it's part of the identity in the show. It makes it feel like that's half the reason why she's there, and I think that that's really unfortunate. I think that honestly, I mean, in this picture alone, like they could have just had her zip up her jacket more, because I think that in terms of the actual design, you know, it's sleek and she's supposed to be sleek and agile. She has the red widow the red black widow across her belt, which I think is cool. And I think the bandolier wristbands are actually really cool as well. And I think that the actual bandolier around the waist is very cool. And it makes sense why it's clipped in the certain ways that it's clipped, just because, like I said, she's very quick and she's very fast. And also, her hair in this movie is short. That way, it doesn't get in the way when she's in combat. So I think that that's really good. But unfortunately, like I said, there's a lot of sexualization in this movie when it comes to Scarlett Johansson and Black Widow specifically, and I think that that definitely hurts the costume design when it comes to that. But with that being said, this is my podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one. All right.